So if I tell you I want Pokemon ports because it'd be nice if all of these games were easily accessible, where do you stand on like the idea of ports? Because I get a little bit greedy with my wishful thinking.
I think the Pokemon YouTuber online space wants to talk about how they want ports, but actually has little to no interest in them.
Okay, well I do.
No, I know that you do, but I think as like a
sure.
I think that the ports and those games coming to modern platforms are actually serving like normal people far more than they're serving like the top tier Pokemon fan. Because the truth is that the top tier Pokemon fan has those games at their fingertips at a moment's notice, and it doesn't mean anything to them. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I could just play this X right now for free. And I learned that kind of the only person really saying that is the person who is constantly playing Pokemon games. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but for everyone else, this is actually like a meaningful way to like return to these games with a level of newness and convenience that like they otherwise wouldn't participate in.
In community, because it's like I think part of the thing that I notice is I try to play these games offline and I have a really nice experience and I want to like talk about it, and no one seems interested because they haven't played the game in 5 years.
So the other thing, though, is that because of the way that the kind of Pokemon YouTube community works, I think that when you put out a port of one of these games, they kind of see it as there is nothing to learn. There is nothing to get out of that experience. Yeah. And that's because the whole kind of space is predicated on this idea that, hey, I have a Pokemon YouTube channel. I'm an expert. I can tell you everything you need to know. So if they were to say, I'm going to play this game and I'm going to learn new things, that would kind of be them hurting their own brand and saying like, oh, maybe I'm not as big of an expert as I said I was. And nobody like thinks it through in that way, but that's, I think, what's really going on. And, you know, the easiest way to make content always is going to say, hey, here's this thing that was just revealed, and nothing about those ports are ever going to be just revealed. But I do want to give you a little, I think you'll appreciate this. So there was a Nintendo shareholders Q&A last night in Japan.
Ooh, dude.
Yeah. And one of the questions was, will you make Nintendo DS or 3DS games playable on Switch 2? And
good.
So listen. This is like nothing.
Should I stand up?
But I thought you might appreciate this.
Should I sit down?
I sent this screenshot to a friend, and I was like, activate the YouTubers. So here's what Furukawa said. He said, I cannot answer your question specifically, but we are working to make. But listen to this. But we are working to make our valuable back catalog playable on current hardware wherever possible.
Can you send me that link?
Which I gotta tell you, I was like,
I'm activated.
That was actually more than I think I typically expect them to say, because he was like, I obviously can't give anything away, but like, we're interested in that. Yeah, of course we're interested in that. And I actually was like, oh, okay, that's fun. So,
and that is exciting. I feel like we had these, maybe like 2 years ago, our conversation was like, there's no way they're releasing everything. They would maybe they would release like all of these DS games in like a pack or something. And as much as I want every single Pokemon game to just be easily accessible on my Switch, because to be honest, I've been really enjoying playing my Switch in my living room with my wife and my dogs. That's actually been nice. I think that's actually gotten me to play more games. It's like I've just hit the age where I want to like look at a screen, and this is kind of like the DS thing. It's not hitting the same right now in my life. And so, whatever. So, what is if we actually were to get, like, what is this? What is, if we were to follow what this statement is saying or suggesting? If we were to follow this to like an end, a couple years down the line, what would that even look like? If we were to potentially get some more DS games.
So something important to consider is that this is coming from Nintendo, not Pokemon. So.
Oh, okay.
But so that's the first thing.
Sure.
So the second thing is that emulating the Nintendo DS in the same way that you emulate the GameCube or the Game Boy Advance on the Switch 2 right now, emulating the DS is actually quite easy. Like that will, like I can tell you that will happen. Like,
okay.
Eventually, they will say, a new system is coming to your Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Here is the Nintendo DS. Like, that will happen. They already have a working emulator for the DS that they deployed on the Wii U. This is not new technology. They can do this easily. So, in the same way that I can tell you, eventually, there will be the Wii as well. They will do Wii games on the Switch too as well, because the emulator for the GameCube is it's just the same as the Wii. Sure. Like, it's the same kind of technology. So, you can count on the DS coming, and it'll have the little library of games in the same way that it did on the Wii U Virtual Console. But then there's this separate question of what do they do with the Pokemon games? You will see something like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. That'll just be free on the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Yeah. But a Nintendo
You're eating with that. That's good.
The second they announce DS is coming to Switch too, then I'm happy.
I will play that. Explorers of Sky, I want to play that.
That'll probably be there day one when they launch that DS app. They've been good about that with the Mystery Dungeon games. The Red Rescue Team's already on the GBA Online. But then there's this question of, okay, now the DS Pokemon games. So we're talking about Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and the
Black
other ones,
White,
and Diamond and Pearl, whatever. Yeah. And to me, I think that the answer at this point is kind of obvious. I think you see them deployed the exact same way that Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were. I think that
gorgeous.
Yeah, they're just put out on the eShop. Instead of being $20, maybe they're $30, $35.
Okay. Don't you think that's a little bit too expensive?
No.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, definitely not.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny. Yeah, I think
that's actually how much they sold for when they first came out.
Can I tell you really the most interesting thing about when they get to these DS games though is that there is this immediate question now of something that the GBA games didn't have to answer. The Game Boy Advance games, obviously, there was no online. DS, there is. Yeah. So, do you emulate the DS Wi-Fi connection in a Nintendo Switch release of those games? I think the answer is yes.
I think the answer is yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's part of the original
experience. That's part of the game.
Fire Red and Leaf Green, that experience is you can only do trading and battling in person.
Right.
That makes sense. Dude, I love that.
Yeah, so I think that'll add some value to them, in whatever way that people like to imagine value. But yeah, it's one of these things where it's not only is it entirely possible, I think that the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, whatever, I think that they've got this system in place now. And you don't put work into, we're going to release these emulated Fire Red and Leaf Green games, and then whoever did that, we're in the wind. These won't be the last ones. Anybody telling you that these are the last ones is lying to themselves. So it's so there will definitely be more, especially, we're this early in the Nintendo Switch 2 life. And I think you can tell, and I think that maybe for somebody like you, the most exciting thing is that I don't think Game Freak is shy about releasing these things when they are otherwise busy.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So that is my go-to hunch in talking point. It's maybe we're gonna be getting more of these ports because Winds and Waves isn't coming out until the end of next year. Which would
doesn't
be nice.
even matter. It doesn't even matter.
Talk to me about this.
Yeah.
Is it once a year? Every year for the next 5 years we get a pair of games?
Maybe
because there's enough for them to do that for the rest of the Switch's lifespan.
Yeah. They obviously have some understanding of how they release these things and what's possible for them. I think it's worth noting that by all accounts, Fire Red and Leaf Green sold phenomenally well. On Switch. I think they were at the top of the eShop charts for a long time after coming out.
People talked about 4 million units in a couple weeks.
That's awesome. That's crazy.
Is that I don't know how to compare that to anything else in terms of
it's tough because comparing it to a full price release is obviously but but the amount of development investment, the amount of money that they had to to make that game is far, far less than any other game that they've ever had to make. You know what I mean? To get this port running on Switch, that cost them $100. Like, it's like, you know, they paid one guy and they said, hey, make that work. And so
make one commercial that will drop the day before
like
Pokemon
that's the
Day.
thing. It's like that marketing budget, all of that stuff, so low that their return on that insane. So I think like that's good, but then in the grand scheme of how Pokemon works, do they get a return out of this that's the same as like the return on a plushie or a card? Like probably not. But but I don't know. That's for the bean counters. I think.
Listen, this all sounds so promising. I guess something that I think about is, do they still want to hold their cards close and keep us thirsty out here? You know, I guess I think about these ports. To me, they seem really valuable. I've been playing Leaf Green since it dropped. I got a copy of Fire Red. I played that a little bit. I'm going to be playing these all year and in the future. I don't think I'm ever going to play Fire Red ever on my Game Boy ever again. Right. I'm happy to play it on the Switch. Right? And there's like new content and whatever.
Right.
And so something I think about is like, if they are actually going to be releasing these games, does that ever devalue the possibility of like a remake? Does that ever devalue, if they put out Diamond and Pearl, does that devalue or whatever BDSP? I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about like I'm thinking about like the Yearn economy, you know? No. Okay.
I think so.
These ports will never, you're saying these ports will never replace a mainline game.
It doesn't matter because my understanding is that the people that these ports are appealing to at the price point that they are currently at can never ever supplant the enthusiasm that this community has for a new game, even if it is a remake, even if it is a brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. If there is even a glimmer of something new to be experienced there, the way that is talked about is a completely different thing. And here's the other thing that's important, and I know this might seem silly, but for every other Pokemon game that's a new release, you have a 6 months to 2 years of a marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were dropped the day that they were revealed. There is a kind of like audience mind share there that's important to keep in mind. So no, the answer is no, because all of those other games that you're talking about will have 6 months to 2 years of advertising of them telling you, you want this, look at this, look at this. Whereas these ports will never have that. These ports are trying to get, there's 4 million people that will buy this no matter what it is. Put it on the eShop. Get your 4 million people. And then they move on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's actually really, really good to hear, because then that gives me, that's just more fuel for the fire. That is getting me excited for, when do you think Ruby and Sapphire are going to drop then? Because I think it'd be nice if it'd be maybe in a couple months, because I really want to play. I'm excited to start diving. I want to catch a Chinchou in the middle of Route 2, whatever.
Yeah. So there will be a Pokemon Presents before the end of the summer.
Ooh!
And they will show more of the Pokopia DLC, of course, which includes diving. And then they'll also show Ruby and Sapphire, and they'll have a little,
which has diving. Winds and Waves has diving.
Yeah,
bro.
And I would say that those games will just come out the day of that Presents, and then very similarly to how there was the Pokemon Day Presents, and then like a week or two later Pokopia came out. It will be the summer Pokemon Presents, Ruby and Sapphire will come out, and then a week or two later, the DLC for Pokopia will come out. So
Whew. Dude, I hope you're right. That sounds, bro. You know what? I want to play. I'm not even saying I want. Like, I think this is gonna happen. This is not a prediction, but like when we were playing when I was playing Silver version alongside you, I just wished it was on my Switch.
Yeah.
Because I don't have an AYN Thor.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality of it. But I'm like, even these old games, I probably would be more willing to go back to if they were just on my Switch, on my TV.
Yeah,
dude, I love just casually playing a Pokemon game. I barely do anything, but I'm grinding while making dinner. I'm battling and grinding while You know what I'm saying? Like it's so passive. That's the way I enjoy these games.
Something, and I know I've talked to you about this before, but something that I think a lot of Pokemon fans resist is this idea that, the text doesn't have all of the answers. The meaning in any work of art, in any artistic medium, is generated between the individual and the text. And this is not me making this up. This is a vaulted literary theory. But this is just how all art works. And but what's important to me about that is that somebody who's played Pokemon their whole life, they might have this memory of, man, remember when you would connect your Game Boy to the TV with the GameCube thing and you would play that game on the TV? And that changed something for you. It affected you, and it affected your relationship to that game. Now, it's funny how people will say, well, I know Fire Red and Leaf Green. I don't have to, there's no new relationship I can have with it. And I'm like, but there was a point in your life where there were things that could change your relationship to it. And what you're telling me is that by the fact that you're replaying these games as an adult on this different device, you can take screenshots with it. You can do game chat with it.
Dude, I love the screenshots are huge.
Yeah.
The videos,
the
30-second videos,
yep,
so good.
Sometimes you're playing it like here, really close. Sometimes you're putting it on the TV, you're sitting on the couch. These are all pieces of context that change your perspective and change your relationship with the game and might elucidate something for you that you never felt before. And
also,
that's important with these games. Yeah.
100%. Beyond that, even though, I think something that I've come to appreciate is it has to do, like, where I am in my life affects how I actually enjoy these games.
As it should.
Yeah. I played, with your example, playing these games on my GameCube, on the TV. I did that in college. I didn't have that growing up. I did that in college. I set up my TV, my $200 flat screen or whatever. We'd watch Game of Thrones, and then we'd switch over, and I'd be playing Ruby version, and my buddy would play. He'd be playing GTA 5, and we'd sesh. And it was so much fun to play these games for the first time on a big screen. Everything's bigger. I could notice little details. I was at a different point in my life. 15 years later, where I'm at now, it doesn't even matter about the big screen. Like, you're right, but I'm not even focusing on that. I think it's just every time I play a new game or a Pokemon game, which is like a pastime. You know what it is, dude? It's like saying like, oh, I never need to play catch ever again with a baseball because I did that when I was a kid. Like, how depressing is that?
Think about this.
The person you do it with is going to be different. You're different. It's so stupid. Sorry.
Think about this.
I want to hear about it.
Let's say when the Nintendo Switch 1 came out. Let's say the Nintendo Switch 1 was your first video game console.
Oh.
Okay.
Shut up, my knees.
Yeah. Let's say in March of 2017, you were 9 years old. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that same person is 18 years old. Okay? Now, this person, I'm supposed to expect this person to somehow play Fire Red on their... What exactly am I asking this person to do? Am I asking them to play Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee? Is that what I'm asking them to do? That can't be right. So there is something here about a type of person that I think a lot of people on Pokemon YouTube like to forget exists. I'm just saying.
Calling out here?
I think we like this is not a child. This is not a baby. Yeah. This is an 18, 19, 20-year-old person. Why would you not take the opportunity to say, "Hey, on Nintendo Switch we hooked you on Pokemon. Here's a Pokemon game." You know, that I think that there's a lot of value there. And I think that I don't think people should look at that person like they are lesser, right?
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah, it's too much.
They're a real fan.
Too much we center this opinion of the person who like has played every single game on the original hardware, and it's like silly to me because that person is becoming more and more rare. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that right now, because of the success of the Nintendo Switch and how much that brought in a new generation of video game players, there is more reason than ever to say, hey, we have this back catalog of amazing classic games that still have a ton of value that we could sell again for $20, $30, $40 even. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Bro.
Yeah. And I think
No,
that they
the
are
dream.
distinct. And here's the other thing. Something that I think is important to Pokemon games is that they look visually distinct from each other. There is
Yes.
like, if you show me a screenshot of a Pokemon game, I can tell you exactly which one it is like that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, that's how easy it is. There's no which Pokemon
That's a really
game.
great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they ever get to the point where they say we're gonna release, I don't know, Sun and Moon on the 3DS, we're gonna figure out how to port that to Nintendo Switch, which I don't think is that hard. If they ever get to the point where they're gonna do that, that game is visually distinct enough that you know there's no confusion. There's no, this is taking away my hype from Legends Alola. Like, that's like silly.
Oh!
Like, that's just like a silly perspective to have, I think. I think it's dishonest too, because it's not, nobody works like that. Nobody's like, oh man,
We're not stupid. We know the difference.
exactly. People aren't stupid. They know that they're different games. So it's not.
Imagine playing. Yeah. Poco, I'm really confused. The landscape right now is there's multiple Kanto games.
It doesn't
There's
make any sense to
Pokopia and
me.
Leaf Green. I'm confused which ones these are. Yeah,
The
And now there's
timeline
Let's Go.
is not. It's not. Who would
Is this a
Ditto
prequel?
is such a yeah.
Ditto didn't do this.
Wait a second. Ditto can just No, it's. I think sometimes
Damn,
we just don't give people enough credit, and like
Yeah.
I don't know. So, anyways, all of that to say that.
Well, you're getting me hyped. I'm honestly like really excited. I feel like I often operate off copium. A little bit of it is also I lean into it because it's like fun, and it kind of adds to the clickbait, and it's also become a meme on my platforms where I'm like, give me the games, give me the ports, and it for so long has felt like a pipe dream. I don't know. I really enjoy. I just have fond memories of the 3DS era where like, I had a 3DS, and I could play almost every single Pokemon region. And that felt really special. For me as a Pokemon fan, I was like, this is nice that I can like access all these different regions. I can play through all these different games. Obviously, I had to buy all the games, but like I just amassed them over time, and it was nice as a Pokemon fan, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled, but it was nice to have everything available. And I feel like we've gotten away from that a little bit, and I miss all these old experiences. Dude, I got to say,
These old experiences are like, I think I really want people to understand this. These old experiences are pretty much new experiences.
Yes, 100%.
If you do not live and breathe this franchise every day, then these are effectively new experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I used the wrong word. I meant like these
No. I'm
old
just making it
games
clear to
and
your
stories and regions.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. That is they become 100% new once you start it again.
And I think people need to. Sometimes I feel like people are closed off. And it's this thing where I'm like, open your mind, open your heart a little bit. I wrote a piece about Pokopia
That's a good
on my blog called Kill Your Inner Lore Master. And the thing that really like stood with me about Pokopia was not like what people I think so often go looking for in Pokemon games. I found that the narrative experience in Pokopia was really compelling. I wrote this sentence in that piece where I said, I'm a dog waiting for my owner to come home.
Yeah, bro, that's good.
And
did you hit credits on
Of course.
Pokopia?
Of course.
I did that finally last month, and it was
I thought that was a really satisfying ending for me. I really liked
it was really satisfying, but I guess it was also kind of actually no, it was satisfying. I was thinking, sorry, I don't want to spoil it. I was thinking you got off planet, but you don't. Okay, yeah, it was that, yeah.
But you get a little glimpse.
Yeah, you get
And
so
that,
you know
that
there's
glimpse,
something out there.
There's something.
It's like the hope is inspired.
That's what the whole game is about. That whole game is about
meet up.
Is about are they, and then just that little that's all you want. Oh my god.
You're right. It keeps it from being like truly depressing.
Mm-hmm.
There is hope. There's potential, bro. That's gorgeous.